Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with a three-way battle to the death for you. Today we have one of my favorite categories, little big knives. And who do we have? We have the Bestech engine versus the Spyderco Techno 2 versus the Roxi. All three of these, I would say, are in the kind of premium end of this market. You're looking at $148 for the Bestech engine, $214.50 for the Spyderco Techno 2, and $242 for the Roxi. So none of these are inexpensive knives by any means. One, yes, is a little bit less expensive than the others, but still, good chunk of change for a small knife. But some of us do really like these small knives. They are very handy to have, especially if legality things are around, or you just don't want to whip out a big giant knife, or maybe you just like them. They're very good for little utility tasks. Sometimes you don't need a big giant. Sometimes a big giant knife is more difficult to use than a smaller one. But let's talk about these all individually before we go any farther. We'll just start off in the order they're sitting up here, and they happen to be in the order they were introduced to the market. The Bestech engine, I think, came out mid last year, maybe August, something like that of last year, August, September. I may be way off. But very, very cool knife. Bestech nails it with these small knives. They are very, very good at this. And this is my favorite of them. They do the Goblin, which is also great. The Sapphire, the Imp. They do these small knives very, very well. These kind of small premium knives. But this is my favorite, mostly just because it has more design elements to it. It's the lightest. It's got a thinner blade stock. It's just a super cool design, and I've really fallen for it. So much so that I got a clip point version. They come in two different blade styles. I got the clip point version to review, and I liked it, but I went out and bought the drop point because I liked it a lot, but I wanted this so much, so went out and bought this one with my own dollars. I guess we have to put that away. Next up, we have the Spyderco Techno 2. Came out pretty late last year. I don't remember when it was. Maybe November, something like that. As the name would indicate, it is an update of the original Spyderco Techno, a Swish design out of Taiwan. Same guy who did the Swish Buoy and the Spidey Chef, I think he did too. Really cool design. The major changes were that they made the blade stock a little thinner, and they went to these acid green standoffs instead of the blue backspacer. Those will come up later. And lastly, we have the Roxi. This is a knife that I called my most anticipated knife of 2018. I was really looking forward to this, mostly because, as you will see, Todd Knife and Tool there. If you don't know who those guys are, one half is Terrell Todd, who is Zelric on YouTube. And he's a good friend of mine, and I saw this probably earlier than you guys did, and I was very, very excited about just the look and the shape of it and the size of it. I thought it was going to be something I would really like, and it is. And it's just got a lot of cool design elements we'll talk about later. Very, very cool knife. So let's do some stats before we move on, huh? We'll go in reverse order this time. We'll go from youngest to oldest this time. On the Roxi, you have an overall length of 6.3 inches. You have a blade thickness of 0.16 inches, so it makes it the thickest blade stock by a good margin. Handle thickness of 0.50 inches, and a weight of 3.81 ounces. We'll just kind of blow through the stats here because we will talk about them probably more as we go on. Next up, the Spyderco Techno 2. 5.99 inches, blade length of 2.55 inches, blade thickness of just 0.13 inches, so a little bit thinner. Handle thickness, again, the same though, at half an inch, and a weight of 3.4 ounces. And then, lastly, the Bestech engine. You have 5 3/4 inch blade length, overall length, blade length of 2.4 inches. Blade thickness of 0.12, making it the thinnest of the bunch. Handle thickness of 0.45 inches, also making it the thinnest of the bunch. And a weight of 2.6 ounces. All right. Bring them all back out here. Talk about how we do the scoring here. We do it same as always. Kind of the same as always. A little bit different when you do a three-way. You have 7 categories. Design and aesthetic, quality, blade, ergonomics, carry, deployment, and value. and then we're going to add them all up at the end. How we score that is winner gets 3 points, second place gets 2 points, third place gets 1 point. And we're just going to go by the scores at the end and pick a winner. Okay, let's start off with the first category, design and aesthetic. This isn't all just looks, it's also design. It is the most subjective, though, so I will say that. This is the one that you guys are going to argue. You guys always argue with me the most on, and that's fine, because it is the most arguable category, I do think. I was originally just ready to give it to the engine because it comes in so many different variations, and I think all of them look good. I really like this kind of flame anno. That's not what they call it. I can't remember what the word they call for it. Spectrum tie. It came to me. Spectrum tie is what they call this, but they're all unique. All of them look different with the gray backspacer and the gray pocket clip. And I just love the way this backspacer, how it wraps around like that. That's just so cool. It's just a very unique design touch. It also comes in plain gray with a either blue or bronze backspacer and pocket clip, or it comes in, and then also, it comes in the clip point or the drop point. So there's like, 8 or 9 versions of it. There's a lot of versions of this knife out there. 9, I think. Yeah, there's a ton of them. So it is this is definitely the most customizable one. And it looks cool. I love the holes. There's so many cool design elements this I do really like. So I was all ready to say, winner, this. But then took a closer look at when I got the Roxi, and every time I look at this, there's another little unique thing. I mean, I love this bronze hardware, and this also comes in multiple colors, by the way. It comes in this configuration. It comes in an all kind of black wash, or it comes in one with a black wash blade and a black handle that has kind of some these blue, also very, everyone's going to be unique kind of flame anno things. They all look cool. I think that one's a little bit more. I think that one's a couple bucks extra. But when the closer you look at this, just more little design things. One thing that I mentioned this in the review that just struck me, and it's such a small thing, but I'm not a lanyard guy. But if I was, when you try and pass the lanyard through here, you have a little window to kind of assist you. You can jab something in there to help guide it through. Like, that's just a really smart thing to do. The pocket clip's very stylized. I like all the bronze touches. So I have to call it a tie, which means obviously this finishes in second because there was a tie for first. There's nothing wrong with the look of the Techno. Well, there's one thing I think that's wrong with it, but it's just not that inspiring. There's nothing new and innovative about it. They're not taking any chances, which is fine, but it's not going to get it the win in this category. I do not like the green standoffs. Not only that I don't personally like acid green, but it is one of those colors that is just kind of polarizing. If these were like a darker green, I probably wouldn't complain as much, but just a bright acid green, if you're only going to offer one choice, because this is the only way this comes, I don't think that's a good idea. I think the blue backspacer on the original Techno was a better choice than bright acid green. So, yeah, this finishes in second place with a tie for first in that category. Quality. They're all great. I don't know what else to say. They're all great. 3-way tie. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. They're all great. I just really do feel like I couldn't make a choice between them. They all have great lockup, great centering, all that stuff you'd expect for a knife in this price range. They're all perfectly fine. I had no complaints with any of them, so I can't make a decision. Yeah, I'm just going to call it a 3-way tie. It's that simple. They're all exactly what you expect for this price range. So how's that for anticlimactic and getting through a category quick? Blade. This will require some more discussion. In third place, I'm going to put the Techno just because it has by far thickest behind the edge. 25 thousandths behind the edge. Not the thickest blade stock, but still, and then just got this high saber grind, but still, it's just not a great slicer. It's fine, but it's not amazing. The sheep's foot blade, I do like sheep's foot blades. It doesn't have a flipper tab sticking out, so it does work better for, kind of food preppy stuff, but this is not the kind of knife you're going to be using for that in this small. Maybe you will if you're cutting a very small carrot or something, but that's about it. XHP steel is good. And especially Spyderco's XHP is good, but you're looking at S35VN and M390. Yeah, it's I don't know which I like better between XHP and S35VN, but I still could flip a coin there. But I guess I kind of prefer the XHP maybe, but not enough to make up for that thickness behind the edge. It's just not. Yeah, it's just not that great of a slicer, and sheep's foot's not a good piercer, but that's not really that big of a deal to me. But still, I got to give third place to the Techno 2. In second place, I'm going to put the Bestech engine. It is the thinnest blade stock. It is second thinnest behind the edge. You're looking at, I think it was about 19 thousandths behind the edge. It does have a piercing tip, which is nice. S35VN is a great steel, but and I like the blade shape and all that. But what loses it is this forward finger choil, which I do like, but it's so large that it does take up. There's just not. This does have the shortest blade also. And I get why they chose that blade length, because if you're in a sub 2.5 inch, this is the only one of these three that would fit. If you were in a municipality like Boston, you have to have a 2.5 inch or shorter knife. This is the only one that would fit, so that's good. But still, there's just not as much cutting edge. Yeah, I gotta give second place to the engine. Great blade, but not as good as the Roxi's is. I really like using this blade. I love Wharncliffes anyway, and I think in a short blade like this, a Wharncliffe is a very good choice, because you're basically using this for like utility type tasks. And a Wharncliffe, if you haven't used one in that kind of thing, opening packages, stuff like that, they're awesome. They're really, really good for that. And it's freaking M390, and it's 15 thousandths behind the edge. Very high flat grind. Even though it is the thickest blade stock, I found it to be the best slicer of all of them. I really did. And the tip for a Warnie is pretty robust. Again, not much of a piercer. You can. You gotta angle it, but it works great. I have no qualms with the blade shape on this whatsoever. I do wish I had a sharpening choil, but I could say that about the Techno 2 also doesn't have a great one. So, gonna say first, second, third in the blade category. Ergonomics. This one was fairly easy. I'm going to put in last place the Roxi. It just, there was a thing I complained about in the review that I said was a minor annoyance, and honestly, the more I carry it, the more it annoyed me. But it's still not a major thing. But for my hands, finger choil, great. Jimping's pretty aggressive, but I'm fine with that. But the problem is this edge, this almost, 70-degree edge with a sharp angle on it, just really does jab into your hand after a while. And it's not painful or anything, but it's something that I just don't enjoy. And there were times when I thought between, which one of these three knives to pick up and use that day. I didn't choose this purely because I knew I was going to have to deal with that. And so it's got to go last for Ergonomics. It's not horrible, but it's just not something I really like. No hot spots from that pocket clip or anything, but it's just that one. Yeah, but it's a pretty good one. So this has to go last. Second place is going to be the Techno 2. It's very, very good. We'll explain why I think the engine is better, but the jimping is perfect. Amount of jimping on it. It fits in the hand super well. This pocket clip causes no issues because it's that wire clip, so you can feel it, but when you squeeze hard, it just kind of moves out of the way. So, but no real hot spots. It is comfortable to use. So that gets second. The engine gets first just because it's meant to be choked up, and you're supposed to use it like this. Obviously, when you use it like this, it's garbage, but they're not meant to do that. Nice jimping. I don't know, this jimping is kind of unnecessary, but it's not uncomfortable. So just aesthetically, I'd like it if it wasn't there, I guess. But no hot spots. Fits in my hand great. Nice angled thing to rest against your palm. And the angled butt. It works really well. This pocket clip, your hands don't even come near it. Ergonomically, this thing is just outstanding. It's very, very good. It does sacrifice some blade length to make it that way, or some cutting edge to make it that way, but excellent in the hand. So, first, second, third. All right, next category, carry. This one we will give to, just going to say the, well, we'll do it, I guess the same way. We'll do it in reverse order like we have been, since that's the way I kind of started it. Third place is going to go to the Roxi. I think this pocket clip works great. Some people don't like it very much. I've heard a couple people online when I did the video complain about it, but I really like it. I think it looks cool as hell. I think the tension's fine. It's not going against anything rough. Slides in and out of the pocket very well. I think it's really, really good. Yes, the weight, it is the heaviest, but you're still not talking about a heavy knife here. You're talking about, 3.8 ounces. It's not like it's a tank. Just what makes it lose is just the height of it. It's a very wide knife. That's the design of it. That's the way it's supposed to be. This is definitely designed to be the heaviest used knife, so obviously it's going to be the heaviest. Hardest used knife, so it's going to be the heaviest. But just the height of it, it's just it's a wide thing in your pocket. Flipper tab they did a great job of putting a smaller flipper tab on it, but still, it's going to finish third. Second is the Bestech engine. It carries well. It's the lightest. It has the biggest flipper tab, but it's still not really super annoying. Mill pocket clip, so it's not deep carry or anything like that, but it's just still, you do notice the flipper tab a little bit, and I just found it wasn't hard to get my hand by at all. I mean, it's a really small knife, but wasn't as good as the Techno 2. I do really like the wire clips. Again, this one is not completely deep carry like a lot of them are, but it's close to it, and I just found this the easiest to get my hand by, just where the clip was located. I think you can see you have the clip farther to my right as we're looking at this, so the actual knife kind of pushes into the pocket a bit more. The unused portion of the pocket a bit more, where on the Bestech everything is kind of thrust out there. So this was easier just to reach in and out of my pocket. I hardly even noticed it was in there when I was reaching it out of my pocket to get stuff. So winner to the Techno 2 for the carry category, and it would beat a lot of knives in carry. It actually carries super well just because your hand slides right by it, which is always a nice thing. Deployment. I always do this category after carry because they're all closed. This one, easy win for the Roxi. Wee does a great job. Ceramic detent, ceramic ball bearings, all that stuff, and this is no exception to the rule. As always, it is amazing. Detent's perfectly dialed in. Makes a very solid, confidence-inspiring thwack when it opens. Sounds like, a big giant ZT when it flips open. It's very satisfying to open and close. It's not drop shutty. None of these are, because the blades are so small. You're not going to get enough weight to really get something to go, and just glide shut. But, yeah. Really, really, really love the way this opens. It's just that solid bang is just fantastic. Easy win in this category for the Roxi. I'll leave them open for this one. Next up would be the Bestech engine. No, I'm sorry. Next up would be the Spyderco Techno 2. Almost forgot my own scoring for a moment there. Both of these deploy pretty well. As far as smoothness goes, the Techno 2 is the smoothest, but it has no flipper tab. The thumb hole opening is super easy though. It's just fun to open. You can Spidey flick it, which is nice. It makes another good solid sound. Not quite as much as the Wii though, and I wish it also had a flipper tab, but that's just me. That's a personal thing, but it just isn't quite as satisfying to open and close as the Roxi is. What holds the engine back is nothing other than it's just an auditory thing for me. I hate to say that, but it does feel very smooth when you open and close it, but if you can hear that, it just always makes that noise, and I think it's more just the carbon fiber than anything. But it's not, the bearings aren't running on carbon. There is a washer in there, but it just, I don't know, it just makes that noise. It's just not as satisfying to open and close as the others. It's still pretty darn good. Very snappy, great detent. All three of them have great detent, but and it's just not as satisfying. Now, value. This is always another very hard category to give. I'm going to give a two-way tie for the Roxi and the Techno 2. $242 for the Roxi, the most expensive by a fairly good margin, but M390, full titanium frame lock. It is a collaboration, which those always cost a little bit more. It's an excellent design, as I pointed out before. So many cool little design elements and stuff in here, that you have to take into account. I really do think you do. When you look at a knife, it is not a plain Jane thing. As I said before, this is definitely the hardest use knife of all of them. I think it's the most overbuilt of all of them. The Techno 2 is another collaboration with a very respected designer. I mean, go and try and find a swish buoy, a Spyderco swish buoy out on the secondary market now, and tell me what one of those goes for. $500 or $600. And it's, Tai Chung Taiwan quality. It's fantastic as far as that goes. It's just, and XHP is becoming a more and more rare steel every day, and not because it isn't good, because it's really hard to get. So, yeah, those two are tied, but they're not tied for first. First place in value, I have to give it to the Bestech engine. No, it's not quite as overbuilt as these other two. But I kind of like that about it. I like that it's got a little thinner blade. I like that it's a little lighter. I would still call it an EDC use knife, definitely. I don't think it's like a little dainty fellow or anything like that at all, or it wouldn't be in this test, because as I said, these are kind of little big knives. But S35VN, carbon fiber, all these cool touches, all that stuff for the cheapest price of all of them by a good margin. Got to give value to the Bestech engine. And build quality, as I said, just as good. When we talked about quality earlier, I said it was just as good. So, where does that leave us? Pretty close in the scoring, I do have to say. But in third place, we have the Spyderco Techno 2, which I was kind of surprised about. A lot of things to love about it. What let it down was that the blade, just both these have better blades. That's really the only category that really let it down. 15 points for that. For the Techno 2. Second place, with 16 points, is the Wii Roxi. So only 1 point more for the Roxi. Where it got let down was just the ergonomics and the carry of it. That's the only two things that let it down. And they explained some things about those ergonomics that, if they meant for it to grip your palm a little bit, because it's meant for harder use work. So if you want it for harder use work, I could totally see why you would choose. If you want the heaviest duty of these three, get the Roxi. Absolutely, for sure, no doubt. So obviously that means our winner is the Bestech engine. It didn't really suck in any category. It finished last in deployment, but it's still good. It's just not as good as the others. I just think as a cutting tool, as something I'd want to carry around every day and actually cut stuff with, I'm going to go with the engine. All that said, not surprising with this one, I'm keeping the engine. I love it. I've had it for a while. It's staying. At the time I'm taping this, I'm putting the Roxi up for sale, and it finished second. And the one that finished third, I'm gonna go. I want to try and buy a Techno 2. I probably won't, but if I find a good deal on a Techno 2, I'd probably get one. Just because my uses are different than everybody else's. So yeah, I would say if you're a Spyderco fan and you want a swish knife, get a Techno 2. It's a great knife. If you want a harder use knife, get the Roxi. If you want something that's more of a kind of small EDC knife, get the engine. So, and that's kind of what I gear towards. I'm more of a kind of EDC guy. So this has been a very long three-way comparison video, but I had a lot to talk about. I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope I've explained things. Even if you don't agree with my scoring, I hope at least I've given you enough information for you to make your own decisions, because this is just one guy's opinion. I had a guy comment after a review the other day, this isn't a review, it's just your opinion. Yeah, that's what reviews are. That's all these are. It's just one data point, one guy's opinion. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.